Good evening.
This is Isha and I'm Vidisha.
And we are here today for GVC, that is the Global Virtual Classroom, an online website contest where students from different countries team up to create a website on a given theme. Students from St. Mark's School, Janakpuri, India, in collaboration with Liberty High School, USA, and Liceo Classico Galileo Cesare, Italy, are working on the topic Rhyme and Rhythm, showing how music plays an important role in building friendship as it knows no boundaries. It's a pleasure to have with us today two members of one of the famous bands of India, the Urban Early Men, Mr. Sibi Matthews and Mr. Adityan Nair.
Hi. Hello. Thank you so much for having us on your show. And we'd like to thank the audience over there.
The Urban Early Men, formed in the summer of 2011, is a psychedelic rock band that draws its influence from Radiohead, Pink Floyd, the Beatles, and many others that have an element of psychedelia. All the band members share a common interest in old classic rock songs, sometimes calling them as early men metaphorically.
So, the first question to you would be the one you hear the most. How did the name, the Urban Early Men, came into existence?
You're right, we have heard that question like 748 times already. It's a very simple concept. The Urban Early Men is, it's an amalgamation of the urban and the early aspect of things. Things that were modern and conventional, classic and this sort of avant-garde. Stuff that is considered to be old but simple and new but edgy. It's just a mix of best of two worlds. That's what this name primarily means. Of course, we weren't thinking of all these things when the name was conceptualized, but over the years we found all sorts of legitimate ways to make sense out of it.
Yes.
Yes.
So, my next question is, tell us the brief history of your band.
So the band started off in the year 2011. 7th of July was our first show.
8th of July.
8th of July. I knew that. We can edit that. Yeah, but 8th of July was the first show, but we had started working 7 weeks prior to that already. There was a lot of lineup changes and we had to invite a lot of people to play with us. It was sort of like a very ambitious project. We wanted to form a really good psychedelic rock band. Though of course that was not the idea when we started off. The sound at that time was very alternative music, sort of like a Nirvana meets New Kids on the Block sort of thing.
New Kids on the Block?
Yeah, because I'm calling myself a really good vocalist right now. So, eventually with time we experimented a lot with sounds and now we have a steady sound. It's a good psychedelic sound, very edgy. Of course, going with the name, we try to infuse as much of urban aspects of things with the classic, with the
early aspects,
the early things. Yes. So it's been 4 years now. We have had 2 major lineup changes. The first one was Abhijit Sanya, who used to play bass for us. Thank you so much, Abhijit.
That was not major.
And the second one was Rohan Arora, who played with us for the longest time, wrote almost half the songs in the new album that's coming out. Sadly, I had to leave for Hyderabad for further studies. Now we have Mr. Jayant Parashar, who we don't have with us right now, but we will be able to.
What? You just
No, he didn't die. He's
He's here.
He's here.
And
He's
his cousins
there,
went
everywhere. He's with us around.
Okay. Tell us any funny story or event that has occurred during your days with the Urban Early Men.
Go for it.
I think there was this one time when we were playing in Hard Rock Gurgaon, and so Hard Rock Gurgaon has this policy of no Hindi music whatsoever. So we were halfway through our show and
No, that was the last song. Just before the last song.
just before the last.
And this
song.
was exactly a week ago.
Exactly a week ago. We were almost through towards the end of our show, and There's one really absolutely drunk guy who's so drunk out of his mind he can barely keep himself up. He comes up to us and he says, "Bro, तेरे को rock में जाना चाहिए." पिछले 7 दिनों में, and he started humming the tune. And funnily enough, our band's guitarist, I knew the riff, and we ended up singing a full-blown out Hindi song in a hard rock program. And
at the moment, like when there's na na na, everyone came on the mic and said na na na.
We can't let this happen.
No, we can't let this happen right now.
At least for a psychedelic rock band to do all of that, it's not acceptable. Of course, that one comes only second to the greatest funny moments that we've ever had. Roshan, Roy, and I once stole a faucet from Ashoka Hotel. We will not tell which branch, but there's only one Ashoka Hotel in Delhi. Which other location?
And it's a 5-star hotel.
It's a 5-star.
5-star hotel.
And let me tell you, 5-star hotels sometimes attach the worst faucets ever. Bad enough to like break it with just one flick of a hand. That's what we did, but that's a different story. We're not criminals, it was just a faucet. And people get off by doing most of the heinous crimes, and we only stole faucets, and it's totally fine. And you don't have proof, okay? So you can't even charge us for that.
No, that's
It's not like we're guilty or anything. Huh?
just video evidence.
Yeah.
So, who are your musical influences?
Indian influences and Western influences.
Indian influences, I guess, would be Ravi Shankar, Anushka Shankar, contemporary as in like who?
Indie scene.
Indie scene, Mindful, Jester, Family Cheese, a lot of bands who've played with us and who've influenced us in a major way, like looking at music in a totally different perspective. Like with Family Cheese, probably we got into rap music and it was totally bonkers.
Yeah, every band that we've seen over the last 4 years, they've taught us something from their performance. Family Cheese taught us how to just chill out on stage. It's very important because it's very nerve-wracking experience to be on stage in front of 6,000 people performing perfectly, just play each and every note perfectly. They taught us how to like chill. There are bands like Jester and Mindflu who helped us redefine whatever we have thought for the longest time and still be able to sound pop but not be pop. And individually, I would say there are a lot of individual drummers, individual guitarists, vocalists who have inspired us on the way.
But probably international artists totally streamlined up.
Well, it'll be safe to say Coldplay, Pink Floyd and Pink Floyd. Am I missing out on something?
So yeah, she's already given a.
But I think one of these really cool bands, the one band that really blew my mind was Mute Math, and we had the pleasure of sharing the stage with them in Bombay, I think 2 months back.
November 16th.
November 16th, so that's 3 months back. Yeah, he's
One
definitely like the band girlfriend who remembers all the dates.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, the girlfriends would love me because I remember every day.
no, we're calling you the girlfriend.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh damn!
you the
Oh no!
girlfriend.
Oh no!
No, but we had the pleasure of sharing the stage with Mute Math.
Yeah.
It's an amazing American act and just
Changed
changed our perspective to it. It's not the same thing to be watching them on a video and then to experience them live. It's a totally different ballgame altogether. It's heart thumping and
Even Carnival for that fact, probably.
yeah. By the way, this guy organized that that event along with 8 more people.
Yeah.
But he brought Carnival to India. So
It's an international
I'm
band.
sitting with celebrities.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm the girlfriend, right? With the beer.
All right.
Okay, so who are your non-musical influences?
Oh, that's gonna be tough.
Well, you're the manager, so you may have a lot of manager influences.
Yeah, like Led Zeppelin's manager probably, like after every show he used to take out his gun at a promoter.
Not that we're promoting.
No, we're not promoting that, but just to get the
It's
payments
a good
out
show. We have
really
kids on the
fast.
show.
Yeah, really fast. He gets his gun out and he threatens people with money.
That's also called mobilization in different sense of the term.
But we've not gone that like
we
extreme.
should.
Yeah,
We should.
but probably at a few people we should, but
I teach a lot of other stuff as well. Apart from being a musician, I'm also an English teacher, music teacher at St. Mary's School. So there have been a lot of writers who have influenced my music writing as well. So I follow. Only recently, I followed a lot of Roald Dahl, and not just the famous kiddie stories, but some really intense ones as well. And there is some really nice stories. Yeah.
Hunter S. Thompson.
Please tell us about your songs. What are they about?
Yes, yeah. I wish we knew the answer to that, because we've been trying to figure out the meaning of our songs as well for the longest time.
So he writes the lyrics for every song, so he would definitely.
So there's a certain kind of songwriting process that we employ. The songs aren't just written with a melody in your head and then we're like, okay, na 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 na, so come with me now. And so we don't really try to fit lyrics into the melody.
What kind of music do you listen to, man?
So the songwriting style is primarily based on an idea. So we sit and discuss an idea, then we think over the music, and then the lyrics start creeping in, and something is formed out of an idea itself, and not just a riff or a lyric or a tune or something of that sort. The genesis of a song is from an idea.
No.
So most of our songs in this album they're dealing with the sense of alienation towards
Finding absolution.
being free and getting that feeling of being resolved.
Yeah.
So it's just a process. It's just the journey of the urban early man trying to redefine himself, trying to look inwards and
Find himself.
find himself. Yeah, and never be lost again.
Yeah.
Did we just give out a teaser for next song?
What are your dreams and goals?
Famous and very famous. We obviously wish to reach out to more people because this interview right now seems very good within the confines of this room, but it only makes sense if it reaches out to more people. This seems like a conversation, doesn't seem like a message till we show this to other people. So primarily we're aiming at sharing the music with as many people as possible, a wider audience, we're also aiming to reach out to a good variety, not just the regular straight sort of an audience that typically listens to psychedelic music. We also want to reach out to people who have not probably been introduced to psychedelic music, and probably through us they can get a fairly good insight into some really good theatrical psychedelic music, because we employ a lot of theatrics on stage and in our songs as well. So primarily our aim right now is to just reach out to more.
So how do you promote your bands and your shows?
It's a very technical process we would like to share with the world.
So the commercial way of doing it is Facebook, obviously, because Facebook is everything right now. And we've got a Facebook page, we've got our website, and we release our songs through SoundCloud and Reverb Nation. That's it. That's how we do our promotion, but online, basically.
Yeah, and also we're also thriving on the indie scene. We have a limited audience for this, so most of it works through word of mouth. So we go to account.
Using Facebook, obviously.
Using Facebook, yeah.
What are your views about downloading music online?
It saved us. We hope to save many more, and it's good. We support free music. This is a new age. We have to evolve with time. Obviously, we definitely can call ourselves the YouTube generation. We have stuff for free. It's all uploaded online. I think if it's art, everyone should have access to it. There should be no elitist.
What are your views about downloading music online?
We definitely support the idea of free music. Gone are the days when music would be packed in cassette boxes, CD boxes. Everything is online. We have iPods, so we don't really have time to order a hard case CD box or something of that sort. Online music is good. It should be free if it's in art form. It should be made available to all sorts of audiences, and we support free. We are the sort of musicians who've actually given away our music for free themselves, but
First 2 singles for free.
First 2 singles for free.
And probably about 6,000 downloads.
Around 6,000 downloads.
I think 10,000.
10,000 downloads, yeah. But last we checked was like 2 years back was 6,000. Definitely must be 10,000.
Probably.
So it's good. We've reached out to 10,000 different people with the help of free music, which I don't know if we put a price tag to that.
Yeah.
We may look pretty up down like that if you put a price tag, but I don't know if you'd really be a populist band like that. So definitely we support it.
What advice would you give to your fellow bands?
Band members or bands, there's a big difference. Are you talking about
Bands.
Fellow bands. You're not
Bands.
Like
members.
a friend band.
friend bands? Up your game, please. No. We're all good friends, and I don't think we've reached a level where we start giving advices.
2 fellow bands.
And by pointing a finger at them, but definitely that we should all collaborate more. We should make more music together.
Yeah.
And is it like Silly Matthew is an artist manager, so we should all like find ways to make this thing grow on our own, and not just depend on the corporate houses to one day come up to us and then offer us $1 million check and then say that you'll be famous now. I think it'd be nice to build something from nothing.
A scene, basically.
A scene, yeah. More collaboration. That's the advice to fellow bands.
And lastly, how does music affect you and the world around you?
It makes it go around.
Makes the world go around, yes. Makes sense. That's the only thing that makes sense to us. It's not just an emotional answer, it's also very scientific. People who can play instruments tend to be more intelligent people as well. It's a different kind of brain function altogether. I was watching this really cool TED Ed video where it said that
TEDx?
TED Ed, not TED Education.
Oh, okay.
So it says that musicians tend to be a little more intelligent, and we're just trying to save the world with intelligence. Thank you very much. No, but on a different note, we have difficult lives. We sleep for 4 hours barely, and music helps us feel good about ourselves. I'm a teacher. I have to wake up every day at 7 o'clock, and I always make faces. It's just music that helps me regain my center. That helps me regain my equilibrium.
So the last question for you. What are the biggest obstacles for a band?
Money.
Yeah, finances primarily. Other than that, certain kind of listenership.
Yeah.
Then investors. Then the peripheral ideas around a music band. So it's not just a band. What the audience only sees a band. Now there are people who are behind the console, people who are arranging for the PA system, there are people who are managing the artists, there are people who are managing everything else around it. So it's just the lack of
Acknowledgement.
not acknowledgement, competitiveness, that feeling of competitiveness, you know what I'm saying? Right now the scene seems pretty complacent, they're okay with what we have. But I think it's very important that we get something to compete with, so we up our game every day, and I think that can help us reach better places. Because right now what we're competing with our peers, and our peers have their influences in Western bands, which is like an unachievable ideal. So what we need to do is that we need to set, we're desperately craving for a benchmark from the Indian music scene, like Industry or Parikrama or bands who've been around for like 10, 15,
20 years.
20 years. But to really out with the conventional sort of music as well. In the sense that they should come out with albums, do all India tours, international tours, and not just stick with the Indian domain. You know what I'm saying? And head outside of the country and spread more music that we have out there. Because most of the American bands also, when they started off, they weren't very famous in America. They actually went to Europe and they would be telling their relatives like, we're big in Europe, But when they came back to America, there would be no one to welcome them.
And like, same for the UK bands. Like
Same for the UK bands. They didn't have a very good homegrown audience, but abroad they were big.
It's called the British Invasion, actually, again, with the UK.
I think the only Indian band that's done that is actually Raghu Dixit Project.
Yes.
They went to UK, it was a self-financed tour, and they toured Europe and then they came back. They had a good relationship in Europe, but
they played at Jules Holland, like a really big audience came to know about him.
So he made it big over there, but when he came back, the sample size sort of just reduced to nothing. But gradually his audience has increased, and
now he doesn't need to fund his tours.
He doesn't need to fund his tours. He has people to sponsor him and whatnot.
And he played at Glastonbury last year. Raghu Dixit played at Glastonbury last year, so which is a big deal for an Indian artist.
Yeah, considering the artists that we have seen at Glastonbury are like Radiohead, Coldplay,
Muse, and
all those artists. For an Indian artist to make it that big is inspirational. So we should aspire to be as big as that, be as competitive as that, and
Thank you so much for sparing your precious time and being with us. I hope this heart-to-heart discussion would have energized every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.